God speaks to Abraham, not in thunder, not in fire, just a command, the soft, quiet voice of destiny. Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and offer him. No explanation, no promise of replacement, no prophecy of resurrection, just a test, a demand that required the tearing out of the very heart that had been waiting 100 years to beat. Genesis 22 begins in silence. Abraham rises early. He splits the wood himself, the wood that will consume his promise. He saddles the donkey. He takes 2 servants, and Isaac, the child of laughter, the son of the promise, the future of the world. 3 days they walk toward a place with no name. 3 days of silence. No words, just footsteps, the creak of the saddle leather, and the weight of the firewood. A terrifying, deliberate journey. What happened in those 3 days? What thoughts did the old man carry? Was every breath a prayer? Was every footfall a question that God refused to answer? The silence was the real test. The silence was the stage where faith either became dust or became steel. On the 3rd day, the day of resurrection, the day of culmination, Abraham lifts his eyes. He sees the mountain, Moriah. He tells the servants, "Stay here. The boy and I will go worship and return, all built on a hope." A word of faith spoken into the great, terrifying silence. He knows what he's been asked to do. He knows the mountain is a throne room and an execution ground. Isaac carries the wood, a perfect, willing burden. Abraham carries the knife and the fire, the tools of faith and finality. Then Isaac speaks, the question that cuts through 2,000 years of history. "My father, where is the lamb?" Abraham answers with the only certainty left in the world, "God will provide himself a lamb, my son." They reach the place. Abraham builds the altar, stone by difficult stone. He arranges the wood, piece by painful piece. He binds Isaac. The boy doesn't fight, doesn't scream, doesn't run. He looks into his father's eyes, and he trusts. He offers his body not as a victim, but as a silent participant in a transaction he does not understand. The father raises the knife. The promise, the covenant, the decades of waiting, the entire future of his lineage is suspended on the blade. And heaven speaks, not in the whisper of a breeze, but in the thunder of intervention. "Abraham," he stops. His hand hangs in the air, a knife still, a heart broken and remade in the span of a single breath. "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Now I know you fear God." The test is complete. The lesson is learned. The obedience is certified. Abraham lifts his eyes again. A ram, a provision, is caught in the thicket. He offers it instead. The mountain is named Yireh, the Lord will provide. But the test echoes. Let's slow down. Let's walk with Abraham for a few more steps. 3 days of silence. 3 days of dread. 3 days of wondering if he had misunderstood the voice. Did Sarah know? Did Isaac suspect? Did the old man cry when the servants couldn't see him? The mountain wasn't just a place. It was a threshold, a place where faith meets fire, a place where the greatest treasure a man possesses is laid down, not because it is demanded, but because the source of the treasure is loved more than the treasure itself. This wasn't just a test of obedience. It was a test of love. Would Abraham give up the very thing he waited decades to receive? Would he trust that God could raise the dead, even when his eyes saw only the knife? Hebrews 11 says he did. It says Abraham believed that God could resurrect Isaac if needed. That's mythic faith. That's covenant-level trust. The power of God was not just in the provision, but in the belief that God was capable of reversing death to keep his word. In the book of Jubilees, this is called the 10th trial, the final test, the moment that seals the covenant forever. Isaac's trust is sacred. The ram is heaven's answer. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, Isaac is seen as willing, a son who walks into sacrifice, a prototype of absolute faith and covenant loyalty. Some texts even suggest Isaac knew the full weight of the journey and still climbed the mountain without argument. In later traditions, this moment becomes the Akedah, the binding. Not the killing, not the offering, the binding, because sometimes the test isn't about death. It's about surrender. It's about the willingness to place your most precious thing, your hope, your future, your promise, onto the altar.
Heaven doesn't always want your sacrifice. Sometimes it just wants your heart. The moment of surrender is the moment the knife is lowered. Every generation faces its own mountain. Every heart hears its own call. And sometimes the ram doesn't appear until the very last second. That's when faith becomes sight.